The story begins in the city of Shanghai, where we see a beautiful panoramic view of the place. Inside an apartment, a woman feeds her baby and tells him he's very lucky. She goes on to say that all the effort is worth it as long as he grows up healthy. But in reality, this baby is our reincarnated protagonist, and he even earns energy points. A status screen appears, revealing his name is Lin Zichen and he has a special ability. At 3 months old, his parents talk about how talented he is while a system notification appears. The baby then wonders what the gene fusers and cyborgs his father mentioned are. Time passes, and now the little protagonist is 4 months old. To avoid scaring his parents, he trains at night and gains new stats by crawling. At 5 months old, the boy has already mastered the art of walking and earns a few more points. Now at 6 months, he can finally sit up and crawl in front of his parents. While watching TV, he sees a news story about beasts and realizes this world is different. The news report explains that the Earth has mutated, and terrible creatures have appeared everywhere. To fight the beasts, humanity created cyborgs and also the gene fusers. Fortunately, he has his own system and decides he will grow in secret to survive. The little protagonist is determined to get stronger to survive in this dangerous world. One day, a new neighbor named Su Meng knocks on the door to introduce herself and give them a gift. She then introduces her husband, Shen Jiani, and their little daughter, named Shen Qingyan. The boy thinks that this girl will be his first friend, and that their destinies are linked. At 7 months, he's already training his running and gains vitality and coordination points. Continuing his training, the baby now practices jumping to strengthen his leg muscles. Even while playing, he manages to train and earn spirit and language ability points. By the time he's 8 months old, the boy is already doing sit-ups and push-ups in his crib. Suddenly, his mom walks into the room and catches him red-handed, but he pretends to cry to cover his tracks. The woman is in shock, not understanding what's happening, and rubs her eyes in confusion. She thinks it's a hallucination, and the baby takes the opportunity to pretend he's asleep and tricks her. A few days go by, and during his bath, his mom screams when she sees the baby has a six-pack. The father then starts thinking about his son's big appetite and now his muscles. He has a moment of clarity and realizes his son might be a rare prodigy. The man says he will become a great warrior, and the baby is relieved that his secret is safe. They watch a news story about a 2-year-old genius who can lift 20 kilograms. The proud mother says her son is also amazing and won't lose to the other prodigies. The boy wonders if he'll also be able to lift 20 kilograms when he's 2 years old. Time passes, and now at 2 years old, he can easily lift the weight with just one hand. Suddenly, his mom calls him to play with his friend, and he nearly drops the box in surprise. The boy then puts his equipment away and leaves the storage room, trying to look as normal as possible. He walks calmly to his bedroom door to meet the little friend waiting for him. As soon as he opens the door, the protagonist is surprised by the sight of the little girl on the other side. The girl offers him a pie, but because she's so young, her speech is still very mumbled. Since they don't play much, the boy uses her as a weight vest to do push-ups. However, there's a small problem with this very peculiar training method. The girl ends up having an accident on his back, and the boy yells for his mom that it happened again. At 3 years old, the protagonist can already lift 40 kilograms without much effort. He sees on TV that a 4-year-old prodigy can lift 30 kilograms and realizes he's stronger. But his biological level remains the same, and he wonders what the next level might be. Full of questions, he leaves his house for the first time and sees a futuristic city with cyborgs. Their mothers take the children for a walk, and the boy decides to go to the library to find answers. Once there, he ignores the children's section and runs to the more advanced books, leaving everyone behind. The women are confused by his choice of reading material but figure it's his genius genes. Through reading, the boy learns that the world is divided into 6 different biological levels. The levels are ordinary, advanced, rare, epic, legendary, and mythical, and he needs to evolve to survive. A system notification pops up, and he gains a new skill to train his mind and body. Now 4 years old, the protagonist remains focused on his training and reading books. At this age, he starts attending kindergarten with his friend and a new teacher. After starting school, he advances to level 2 and can lift 80 kilograms with one hand. One day in the classroom, the boy sees his friend being bullied by other kids in the class. Seeing this, the protagonist becomes furious and decides he needs to step in to defend the little girl. He then jumps into the middle of the group of bullies to put an end to their mean, spirited game. The boy threatens to pee on the bed of anyone who bullies his friend, leaving everyone terrified. The children start crying in fear while the little girl looks at her hero with admiration. His dominant attitude made all the children fear him, and he unlocked the title of King of Kindergarten. Half a year later, he completes the reading mission and gains a photographic memory skill. Time flies, and at 7 years old, the protagonist graduates from kindergarten with his classmates. During the vacation before school, he continues to train and can now lift 200 kilograms. His high jump also improves a lot, and he easily breaks the 2-meter mark. The boy also breaks the running record, managing to run 100 meters in under 8 seconds. With his new skill, he quickly finishes the school curriculum by studying at home on the computer. Finally, the day comes, and our hero begins his school life in elementary school. He wins several academic competitions to unlock the title of top student as quickly as possible. During his free time at school, he takes the opportunity to tutor his friend. Although she isn't a genius, with his help, the girl becomes the second best student in the class. To speed up the process, he also easily breaks all the school's sports records. But just when he thought he would have a quiet school life, a new transfer student showed up. The teacher announces the arrival of the new classmate, and the protagonist senses a strange aura from her. As soon as the girl enters, the boy realizes that her aura doesn't belong to an ordinary human being. His friend compliments the new student's hair, but the protagonist completely ignores the comment. The mysterious girl then slowly walks toward her seat in the classroom. He is more concerned with her strange aura and wonders if she is a gene fuser. In the following days, the new girl doesn't talk to anyone and just lies on her desk the whole time. As time goes by, the other students lose interest and leave her alone in the classroom. A month later, the piece is broken when a white liquid starts coming out of her body. The substance drips down her legs and has a very bad smell that bothers everyone. The classmates complain about the stench, and a bully makes a mean comment about the liquid. The boy then throws water on her, pretending he's going to help her clean up the mess. The girl clenches her fist on the wet desk, trying to hold herself back in silence. On her face, we see the expression of someone holding back tears with all their might. However, she can't hold it in any longer and starts crying because of the constant bullying. The bullies laugh at her while the hero's friend asks him to do something about it. He agrees and stands up, thinking that she isn't dangerous, just a weak girl. Our hero then grabs the bully by the collar, calling his name out loud. With a scary smile, the hero tells the bully to clean the girl's desk immediately. The boy is terrified by the threat and agrees right away to clean up the mess. While cleaning the desk, the bully thinks that even the older students are afraid of the protagonist. The hero then demands that everyone who bullied her come and apologize to the girl right now. Terrified by the boy's imposing presence, the other bullies agree at once. In a line, they bow and apologize to the girl, promising never to bother her again. With tears in her eyes, the white-haired girl thanks the protagonist and his friend for their help. His friend says it was nothing, and that classmates should always help each other. From that day on, the hero's friend tries to get closer to the new girl and drags him along. The white-haired girl looks a little embarrassed, and seems to hesitate in accepting their friendship. She then asks if they aren't disgusted by her because of the bad smell she gives off. The girl explains that she has been looked down upon by everyone since she was little, and this happiness feels like a dream. Suddenly, the white-haired girl's eyes widen as she hears her new friend's response. The other girl says it's not a dream and that she would never be disgusted by her new friend. She then declares with a smile that the two of them will be friends forever, no matter what. Moved by the declaration, the white-haired girl hugs her new friend tightly. Crying with happiness, she thanks them both for everything they did for her and for their friendship. Tears of joy stream down her face as she finally feels accepted by someone. She then says that since they were so nice, she wants to give them a thank you gift. The girl offers a pair of beast fangs that she received as a gift from her mother last year. Her friend gladly accepts the gift, sealing the beginning of a great friendship between them. The three then celebrate their new friendship, promising they will be friends forever and ever. But some time later, the hero's friend is shocked to learn that the new girl has transferred. The protagonist confirms the news, saying he saw the girl filling out the transfer papers. He peeks into the principal's office and sees the girl with a cyborg man and the school principal. The boy then realizes that the girl's identity was much more complex than it seemed. From that day on, the protagonist never saw the white-haired girl again in his life. However, other events that followed captured his attention much more than her departure. The boy uses his new skills to give his tired mother a relaxing massage. He sees on TV that the prodigy from Kyo has fused genes and can now lift a huge rock. Seeing the news, the protagonist is shocked to see that the boy has already started gene fusion. His father comes in complaining that the prodigy is always on TV and seems like an influencer. The parents discuss the boy's family, and the father explains their mindset. The boy thinks that the prodigy has increased his strength, but he can already lift 300 kilograms. He clenches his fist, confident in his potential, until he sees some scary new headlines. Suddenly, a breaking news report interrupts the program, showing a beast attack. The footage reveals that the attack was caused by a swarm of giant, bizarre rats. Amid the chaos, a woman screams for help, about to be caught by one of the creatures. The monster then snaps its huge mouth shut in the blink of an eye, finishing the attack. A reporter confirms that a cult of heretics is behind the tragedy in the city. The boy thinks he's lucky to live in a safe place where he can train in peace. Suddenly, his eyes widen in complete shock at a noise coming from outside. He hears a supersonic sound from outside the window and gets really scared. Frightened by the noise, the boy runs towards the window to see what's happening. With trembling hands, he slowly pulls back the curtain to peek into the dark night outside. Through the window, he sees several cyborgs flying and wonders what's going on in the city. The next morning, the sun is already shining, and life in the city seems to have returned to normal. His friend arrives, apologizing for being late while calling for him so they won't be late. Suddenly, the boy's eyes widen as he notices something strange about his friend. He points to her necklace and says that the beast fang she's wearing is glowing brightly. The boy realizes the fang is from a beast, and that's the source of the non-human aura he felt. The glow vanishes, but he gets a bad feeling, putting the recent events together. As they walk, a mysterious red-haired woman watches them from a distance on the street. The woman then approaches and comments on how adorable the two children are together. She steps between them and curiously asks if they happen to be siblings. The girl replies that they aren't siblings but best friends since childhood. The woman smiles with envy and says she wishes she had a childhood friend too. With a strange look, she asks where their parents are and why they are walking alone. Sensing danger, the protagonist grabs his friend's hand and stops her from answering the question. He then pulls her away, saying they're late, and leads her away from the suspicious woman. He scolds her for talking to strangers, and she agrees that she's learned her lesson. Time passes, and the sky already shows a beautiful sunset as classes finally end. Walking through a deserted alley, the girl comments that the place is very quiet and spooky. The boy explains that the neighborhood is scheduled for demolition next week, which is why it's empty. Suddenly, a female voice says that the children are finally out of school. The red-haired woman appears, and it seems she's been waiting for them the whole time. The protagonist is in shock because he took a different route to avoid her. A muscular man appears beside her, and the woman invites the children to her house. The big guy, lacking patience, says to just knock the kids out and take them away. The brute moves forward, saying he needs money, and is going to sell the two youngsters. Seeing the danger, the boy prepares for combat and protects his friend from the attack. Without hesitation, he throws a powerful punch toward the man approaching them. The blow lands squarely on the villain's face, who wasn't expecting that reaction. With the force of the impact, the man is sent flying, and the woman is left stunned. She can't believe a child managed to send a grown man flying like that. Without wasting any time, the boy rushes at the woman and lands a powerful punch right in her stomach. The blow is so powerful that the villainess is sent flying, landing unconscious on the ground. He then picks up a brick from the ground to finish both villains right then and there. The boy thinks he needs to finish them so his secret won't be revealed. Suddenly, the ground starts to shake, and a sudden earthquake scares the two children. A giant claw then smashes through the wall of a nearby building with great force. The creature reveals itself to be a giant rat, just like the one he saw earlier on television. The monster then opens its huge mouth and prepares to grab the red-haired woman. In the blink of an eye, the creature snaps its mouth shut, and it's all over for the villainess. The beast then turns to the children, holding the other villain in its paw. He picks up his friend and explains that it's a giant rat and they need to run. Without a second thought, the boy starts running to a safe place as fast as possible. Suddenly, a blonde cyborg appears, flying through the city skies at high speed. The warrior flies past the monster, and the protagonist wonders if she's a cyborg. The movement was so fast that he barely saw the cyborg stopping in front of the creature. The cyborg then charges her weapon with a golden energy, preparing for an attack. She fires an anesthetic smoke to try and neutralize the giant, bizarre creature. Several projectiles are launched towards the monster, which roars in pain from the impact. A huge explosion occurs, and the boy shields his friend from the flying debris. Even with the powerful attack, the creature is still standing and seems furious about the fight. The giant rat recovers from the blow, and it seems the attack didn't cause much damage. The warrior then charges forward and starts fighting the giant beast hand to hand in the alley. Watching the fight, the protagonist concludes that the cyborg isn't very strong and needs help. He thinks that the giant rats are tough to deal with, and is glad he managed to escape. The boy decides he needs to train more and starts doing squats with weights. Time passes, and the two friends celebrate their 9th birthday together with their families. After the happy birthday song, the boy gives his birthday present to his friend with a smile. The girl loves the wooden hair clip he made and thanks him for the gift. They graduate from school, and the boy is excited to unlock his next title. During the vacation, he trains hard, doing 1,000 push-ups with a giant rock on his back. Before school starts, his biological level finally rises to the 3rd ordinary stage. Sitting on the couch, he wonders what the current level of the Kyoto prodigy might be right now. The news shows the 14-year-old boy lifting 2,000 kilograms with a single hand. With a confident smile, he can't wait to get his own gene fusion in the future. Middle school finally began, and he accepted the invitation with a very special condition. The principal and teachers welcome him, but he quickly makes an excuse to get away. He ran off because the school has great facilities, and he already had a plan with his friend. The girl then calls him, all excited for them to start their game of badminton. She then gets ready to serve and launches the shuttlecock with a special curveball motion. But before the shuttlecock reaches him, a mysterious hand intercepts it mid-air. An upperclassman appears, saying that they're new, and that the court is reserved for the older kids. Other boys surround the girl, but she says they should follow the rules, since they got here first. With a serious look, the protagonist tells the guys to back away from her, and that he doesn't need to explain the rules. The group's leader scoffs, saying it doesn't matter who got here first, because he's taking the court. With the shuttlecock in his hand, the bully prepares to dictate his own rules on the court. But the protagonist catches the shuttlecock in the air and says that from now on, the rules are his. He then gets ready to serve and tosses the shuttlecock into the air with a determined look. With a furious shout, the boy hits the shuttlecock with all his might, launching it like a missile. The shuttlecock flies at an insane speed toward the bully, who is frozen in fear. The object zips past his head and smashes right into his racket, breaking it in half. The bully is in a state of shock and wonders if the boy is even human. Scared, he considers that the boy might be a gene fuser but thinks it's impossible. Another boy comments that the boss almost had his head taken off by that shot. The bullies bow apologizing and run off, scared of the boy's power. After the incident, no one dared to mess with the two friends during middle school again. Since he had already finished the school curriculum, he spent his classes reading interesting books. At night, he would train and use the internet to learn new skills useful for the future. To unlock his title, the boy won several medals in national competitions. The semester passed, but the title didn't unlock, and he gained a lot of fans at school. Ignoring the fans, he focuses on helping his friend and on the school's sports festival. At the sports festival, he gets ready for the shot put, concentrates all his energy into his arm, takes a deep breath and screams, "Ace." The shot put flies like a missile, cutting through the air and leaving everyone speechless. Next, in the high jump, he demonstrates his incredible jumping ability to everyone. To finish, he participates in the sprint and completely dominates the competition. Despite holding back so as not to look ridiculous, he still managed to win easily. Suddenly, he feels a new power surging through his entire body unexpectedly. A system screen appears, and he finally unlocks the title of Sovereign of Middle School. The screen explains that he can devour the life source of other beings to evolve. So he wonders what that could be. Walking alongside his friend, the protagonist suddenly gets an idea to test his new power. The young man then turns to the girl and asks to take a look at her beast fang necklace. Without question, the girl simply hands the small object to her friend, who holds it. Upon touching the item, the boy feels a strange energy, and a light suddenly begins to glow. The system alerts him that he's devoured a trace of the abyssal giant butterfly, and now the illustration is at 1%. Arriving home, he decides to search online to find information about this aberrant beast. He types in the creature's name but, to his surprise, can't find anything about it at all. Frustrated, the boy realizes he'll have to figure out the creature on his own and starts looking through his backpack. Luckily, he remembers the girl had given him 2 fangs and finds the second one stored away. Holding the tooth, the system announces that the giant butterfly's illustration is now at 2%. The young man is a bit disappointed with the result and thinks he needs to find another way to unlock everything. The next day, to train more, he gives his friend a ride to and from school on his bike every day. While pedaling peacefully, a familiar voice calls the protagonist its name, and he looks to the side. It was Teacher Go from the martial arts team, praising his incredible performance at the sports festival. The man then enthusiastically invites the young man to join the school's martial arts team. He insists that the young man's athletic talent is amazing, and that he should accept the invitation right away. The instructor says goodbye, and tells him where the team's headquarters is, saying he'll wait for him tomorrow if he's free. Later, the sun sets over the city, and the protagonist is at home thinking about his new powers. To test his new ability, he decides to try something different, clapping his hands together with a lot of force. He looks at a squashed mosquito and realizes that insects don't activate his ability to devour their life source. The boy understands that only powerful beasts have enough energy to be absorbed, so he grabs his phone. To confirm his theory, he hops on his bike and gets ready to head out again. He decides to go to the supermarket that sells beast meat to check if he can absorb their energy. They soon arrive at their destination, a large supermarket in the city center called Mammoth. Inside, he sees a lot of beast meat, but it's all packaged, and he needs to touch it to confirm his theory. Suddenly, he hears a butcher shouting about fresh beast meat, and it catches his attention. The boy spots the butcher's counter, where fresh meat is being cut on the spot, and he gets an idea. He asks his friend to wait a moment while he goes over to touch the beast meat. Without much explanation, the boy runs toward the counter, determined to touch the raw meat to test his power. With the truth right in front of him, the boy reaches out and touches the fresh meat to test his theory. As he touches the meat, He feels a powerful life energy, confirming that beast meat has the source he needs. The boy gets super excited about his discovery, while his friend wonders why he's so happy about raw meat. The girl then curiously asks what the meat feels like, and if it's very different from normal meat. He plays it cool, saying it's no big deal, and asks if she wants to touch it, but she nervously declines. Since they were there, the protagonist decides they'll buy some of the meat to try, leaving his friend shocked. He's not surprised by her reaction, since beast meat is extremely expensive and the prices are outrageous. Even the phantom shadow squid, which was the cheapest, cost almost 1,000 yuan, so he decides to get that one. His friend is very worried about the price and suggests asking Aunt Shin before making such an expensive purchase. To calm her down, the young man gives the girl a gentle pat on the head, telling her not to worry about the money. He then says his mom asked him to buy a lot of beast meat to bring home. His mother comes to mind, and he decides to buy more to share with his friend's family as well. At the checkout, he pays for the phantom shadow squid, which cost almost 3,000 yuan in total. The cashier thanks him for his purchase, and they leave the store, but the girl still seems worried about how much they spent. It was late at night, so to be safe they went straight home on their bike, pedaling down the empty street. Even on the street, he can hardly wait to test his idea and confirm what he thought about the beast meat. He then places his hand on the squid, and a purple energy starts being absorbed into his palm. The system alerts him that he has successfully devoured a trace of the phantom shadow squid's life source. An illustration of the creature appears, and the system informs him that the progress is at 0.1%. As they continue pedaling down the street, the boy starts doing some calculations in his head about it. He realizes that to reach 100%, he would need 100,000 yuan, which is a crazy amount of money. But if he could gain the squid's power to dissolve in water, all that money would be worth it. Now he needs to figure out a way to get that much money, since he can't ask his family for it. Suddenly, the boy remembers the other test he wanted to do with the meat they bought earlier. He looks at the squid in the basket and sees that it's still fresh, even after a while since he bought it. With the bar at 3%, he smiles in relief, as absorbing the energy doesn't spoil the meat. Distracted by his thoughts, his friend yells at him to watch out for someone in front of them. He slams on the brakes and almost runs over a couple walking by, then apologizes for the scare. The boy is embarrassed for being so focused on the energy, and his friend points to a commotion up ahead. They see a man holding a woman hostage, and the boy recognizes her as teacher Tommy. Several police officers surround the area, telling the man to stay calm and drop his weapon immediately. The captain warns his colleague not to take the shot, as the target is skilled and a missed shot could be dangerous. He also rules out using sleeping gas because it might provoke the suspect into doing something extreme. Realizing the police weren't going to solve the situation, the protagonist picks up a rock from the ground. He then throws the rock with incredible speed and precision toward the kidnapper. The object hits the man's hand hard, making him drop the knife and release the teacher. Seeing the perfect opportunity, the police captain yells for his team to move in and get the criminal. The officers act quickly and manage to apprehend the culprit while the teacher is led to safety. The boy tries to slip away quietly, but his friend asks if he was the one who threw the rock. Just as they were leaving, the police officer calls out to the student, asking if he threw the rock. With a sheepish grin, the protagonist denies everything and tries to get out of there as fast as possible. The captain finds it strange that someone would do a good deed and not admit it as they walk away. He then says out loud that there's a reward for bravery and holds up the small rock. Upon hearing the word reward, the boy's eyes go wide and he is completely stunned. The young man slams on his bike's brakes and rushes back toward the officer, interested in the cash. He changes his mind on the spot and says he threw the rock because the money is important, and the officer calls him to the station. They let their families know, and head to the police station to give their statements about what happened. But while the criminal was being taken away, something goes very wrong, and he starts screaming. Suddenly the man transforms into a giant, terrifying monster that looks like a mutant rat. The creature attacks the officers with its huge tail, throwing them all aside with incredible force. The captain orders everyone to fire at the mutant rat but to be careful to protect the civilians. The officers unload their weapons on the giant monster, but the bullets don't seem to have any effect. The teacher and the protagonist's friend are completely terrified by the scene of pure chaos. Seeing the danger, the boy grabs both of them and says the most important thing now is to escape from that place. Fortunately, the monster doesn't chase them, but he knows they still need to run to a safe place. As they run down the street, they see something descending from the sky and wonder what it could be. A cyborg appears out of nowhere and lands a powerful punch right in the giant rat monster's face. The blow is so strong that the creature is thrown far away and crashes hard onto the street. The woman then prepares to attack again and starts charging a laser cannon in her hands. She fires a devastating energy beam that hits the monster head-on, lighting up the entire night. Hit squarely by the laser, the giant monster screams in pain with its mouth full of sharp teeth. The attack is so powerful that the creature is completely disintegrated, and nothing is left of it. The protagonist is completely shocked and impressed by the cyborg's incredible power. While the girls celebrate that they're safe, he is relieved that his bike wasn't destroyed. Suddenly, the young man looks at his bike's basket and notices that something strange has happened. The squid meat he had bought started smoking and seemed to have spoiled all of a sudden. He understands that absorbing the life energy spoils the meat, but he needs an excuse for the girls. The boy throws the squid on the ground and blames the cyborg's attack for having cooked the meat with the heat. At the captain's request, they end up getting into a police van to go back to the station and give a statement. Inside the vehicle, they come across the burnt remains of the monster, which had a horrible smell. Seeing the remains, the protagonist gets an idea and wonders if he can still devour its energy. Inside the car, our protagonist wonders how much power he can absorb from the scorched figure. With a single touch, he begins to draw out the essence of the heretic in front of him. The green-haired young man is surprised as he feels the energy flowing into him. A notification pops up, saying he has absorbed a little of the essence of a giant mutant rat. Back in the car, he stretches out, and the driver tells him to keep still, but the young man says he just needed to move around a bit. Later, in an office, a captain questions him on how he managed to hit the enemy so accurately with just a rock. The man is suspicious of the boy's answer and continues to stare at him in silence. Suddenly, the door opens, and our hero's family arrives to take him home. His mother runs to him frantically, shouting his name, incredibly worried. She hugs him tightly, and he tries to calm her down, saying everything is fine and that he even received a reward. His mother asks him to promise that next time, he'll hide instead of fighting. She just wants her son to grow up safe and healthy, and the boy gets emotional hearing this. He assures her he will protect himself and leaves with his family as the captain watches from a distance. Nearby, two female officers mention that the Rat God cult has been getting bolder lately. They say they need to take down the Rat King, and our hero listens to their conversation intently. Once in the car, the young man pulls out his phone to research the cult and finds a lot of information. He discovers their main base is in Shanghai and that they recruit people who have been cast out. Our protagonist is shocked as he puts the pieces of the puzzle together and understands the situation. Apparently, the Rat King wants to evolve and forces its followers to gather materials for it. The young man then wonders if this creature has already managed to develop its own consciousness. Through the car window, he sees a giant rat and wonders if the creature is connected to the Rat King. He tries to dismiss the thought, telling himself that large rats are normal in that area. Right after, he notices his sister is very quiet and seems to be feeling unwell sitting next to him. He realizes she is shaking and sweating a lot, and he already has an idea of what's happening. Apparently, ever since she was little, she has accidents whenever she gets too nervous or scared. As the car drives away, he thinks that this problem of hers might be some kind of hidden power. Arriving home, his mother notices that the meat they bought is gone and starts to panic. The young man scratches his head sheepishly and says that in the heat of the moment, he ended up dropping the meat on the way. His mother reassures him, saying the important thing is that he's okay and they don't need the meat. The young man breathes a sigh of relief for having managed to fool his mother and hide what really happened. His father wants to look for the meat, but the young man stops him, saying it's dangerous outside and the meat is already spoiled. Meanwhile, at the police station, the captain is still thinking about how a student managed to throw a rock with so much force. He feels a nagging suspicion, as the boy's story just doesn't make much sense to him. Suddenly, a giant rat appears behind the officer, leaving him completely startled by the creature's size. With no time to react, the enormous animal leaps toward him, its claws ready to strike. The captain quickly draws his weapon and starts firing multiple times at the giant creature. Even with the shots, the rat manages to push forward and swipes at the man with its sharp claws. Back at school, our protagonist is in class but seems pretty bored with everything that's happening. He compares himself to the monsters from last night and realizes he's still too weak to face them. The guy thinks of ways to make money, like becoming an influencer, but finds the idea too flashy. Suddenly, the boy seems to have a brilliant idea to solve his problems once and for all. In this world, martial arts are more important than studies, so he decides it's time to take action. So, the young man heads straight to the school gym, where some students are gathered on the court. There, a man in a sweatshirt who appears to be the coach is drinking something from his thermos. Our hero approaches the man and greets him, calling him Coach Go. The coach recognizes him as Zeichin and asks if he's there to join the martial arts team. The boy then quietly asks if joining the team means he can compete, and if the prize money is good. With a smile, the coach confirms and says the prize money is worth tens of thousands. Hearing this, the young man shakes the coach's hand and says that as of today, he's on the team. The coach gets excited and calls everyone else over to introduce the new member of the team. All the team members then introduce themselves to the newcomer, who states his name as well. Since the guy has never trained before, the coach starts by showing him some basic punching and kicking techniques. He explains that it looks simple, but it's difficult, and that even the fastest student took a week to learn. Without wasting any time, the protagonist gets into position and prepares to copy the coach's moves. Suddenly, an ability called Divine Martial Vision activates, and he analyzes everything perfectly. As he practices the technique, a system window appears, showing that his stats are increasing. Then, the boy starts performing the moves with impressive perfection and speed. The coach's jaw drops and he shouts that it's absolutely impossible. The entire team watches in shock, unable to understand how he learned the technique just by looking. The coach concludes that the newcomer must be a one-in-a-million martial arts genius. The scene then changes to a nighttime view of the city, with its tall buildings and bright lights. Back at home, our hero's mother calls him for the dinner she just prepared. The guy excitedly runs to the kitchen, asking what his mom cooked up for them. She then presents a plate of squid, telling him it's the ghost squid he'd wanted to try. Holding the plate, the boy takes a deep breath, savoring the delicious aroma of the food. His mother tells him not to just sniff it, and to start eating while it's still hot. Without a second thought, he takes a piece and tries the meal his mother made. She then comes closer and asks him how he likes the taste of the special dish. The young man praises the food, calling it the best in the world, and she smiles, telling him to eat up. Just then, a system notification informs him that he has devoured the squid's life essence. On television, they watch a news report about a genius girl who has amazed the nation. The 14-year-old girl has become the youngest cyborg and possesses incredible speed. The protagonist wonders who would be stronger, a genetic fusion user or a cyborg. Suddenly, a tragic news story appears on TV about the security captain's tragic end. Shocked to learn it was a giant rat, the boy decides he needs to train even harder. After some training, his 100-meter dash time is down to 4.61 seconds. His vertical jump is now 5.51 meters, and he can lift 100 kilograms with one hand. He hasn't slacked on his martial arts training either, as he wants to get stronger for the tournament. The next day, the sun rises, bringing a new morning to the city. Soon enough, our hero is back at his school. The next morning, he returns to the gym, and Hanan tags along out of curiosity. A girl with pink hair approaches and asks if he's had breakfast yet. She then offers the guy a bottle of fresh milk she brought just for him. The protagonist politely declines the drink but thanks her for the kind gesture. However, another guy gets annoyed that he rejected a gift from his goddess. Without thinking twice, the annoyed student gets in front of our hero and tells him to stop. The bully tells him he should drink it, but our hero says he's allergic to milk. So, the rival challenges him to a fight, saying that if he wins, our hero will have to drink the milk. A system notification pops up with a new mission: defeat 1,000 opponents. With a smirk on his face and a purple aura, our hero accepts the challenge. The two girls hear about the duel in the gym and rush over excitedly to watch. A crowd of students quickly gathers on the court to see the showdown up close. The protagonist's friend says she's rooting for him and tells him to teach that guy a lesson. The other girl also wishes him good luck and says she's going to take a lot of pictures. The rival gets annoyed, realizing that everyone in the crowd thinks he's going to lose. He thinks to himself that he needs to take this genius down now, before he gets too powerful. Our hero then asks them to make it quick, as he needs to get home for dinner. With a confident smirk, the rival says he'll be happy to grant his wish. The coach then gives the signal for the match to start, reminding them that friendship comes first. But the opponent cuts him off, asking him to wait just 1 second. He boasts about his 2 years of training and gives his opponent a 3-move head start. Our hero agrees and dashes forward with incredible speed, leaving the other guy stunned. Without wasting a moment, he throws a powerful punch toward his opponent. The punch lands squarely on the rival's face, who doesn't even have time to react. With just a single strike, the cocky student is already on the ground, completely knocked out. The coach is shocked, wondering how he managed to win with a single punch. The whole crowd is left speechless, unable to believe the match is over already. The protagonist's friend celebrates excitedly, shouting that he won the duel. The two girls jump for joy and compliment the guy, telling him he was incredible. The system informs him that he has defeated a rival and gained the affection of the girls. With a smile, the young man looks at the other students and invites them to a match. All the students are terrified by the thought of having to face the rookie. They quickly start making up excuses so they can get out of there in a hurry. The rival gets back up and accuses the hero of a sneak attack, demanding a rematch. The coach tells him to accept his defeat and decides to test the rookie's strength. So, the coach calls on another student to be the next to face the boy. The new opponent gets into a fighting stance but immediately apologizes and asks not to be hit in the face. 10 minutes later, all the other students are on the ground, completely defeated. He realizes that only the first rival counted for the mission, and that sparring with the others is no use. The coach praises him, saying he's a genius and has become the team's ace in just 1 month. With him on the team, the coach is confident they will dominate the other schools and win. The young man realizes the tournament is the perfect opportunity to defeat multiple opponents at once. He believes that defeating opponents in the competition will count toward his mission. Suddenly, the first rival he defeated in the gym calls out his name. Jung Kai accepts his defeat and says he won't complain, no matter what the winner does to him. The student's bizarre statement leaves everyone there completely shocked and speechless. Before he can finish his sentence, the bully notices that everyone is running away from him in fear. In order to join the martial arts team, our hero's friend started training alongside him. After running 3,000 meters, they practice martial arts techniques for a whole hour. Afterward, they do sit-ups and push-ups to build their strength and physical stamina. The girl continues her intense training, doing some push-ups to strengthen her arms. At the end of each session, he helps her relieve her muscle tension with a massage. Our hero doesn't let up on his training either, as he wants to unlock his new attribute as soon as possible. 1 month later, the day of the long-awaited tournament finally arrives, and our hero is ready. The tournament finally begins in the city's jam-packed gymnasium. In the break area, the coach looks nervous because they're up against the strongest team in the first round. The other team members are scared, and one of them says they're going to get crushed. Seeing how discouraged everyone is, our hero offers to be the first to fight in the competition. The coach agrees and says he can go first, leaving his other teammates quite surprised. His friend and the coach cheer from the stands while the young man warms up for the fight. The young man then steps into the ring with so much force that he cracks the floor with just a single step. His opponent is a giant guy who compliments the rookie for making it so far in the tournament, but he starts to taunt the protagonist, saying this is no place for a short kid. The big guy then flexes his muscles and says he's going to teach him the real difference in power. The judge gives the signal, and the fight finally begins with the two facing off in the middle of the ring. Without wasting any time, the brute charges forward with a powerful punch aimed at our hero. The young man dodges the blow with great ease, leaving his opponent completely surprised. He then seizes the chance to counter-attack with a direct punch to his rival's chest. The hit is so powerful that the muscular guy is sent flying with just a single attack. The announcer declares the boy's victory while he makes a stop sign with his hand. His friend celebrates excitedly, shouting that he was absolutely incredible in the fight. All of his teammates also celebrate the rookie's impressive victory. Meanwhile, the other team's coach scolds his fighter for the humiliating defeat. A system screen confirms the victory counted toward the mission, and the young man feels confident. The rival coach orders his next fighter to take down the rookie as quickly as possible. The new opponent then gets into the ring and assumes a combat stance, looking very confident. With both fighters ready, the announcer declares that the next match of the tournament will begin. The adversary rushes in with a sequence of fast punches to try and catch the young man. But our hero dodges and lands a powerful kick that stops the other fighter's attack in mid-air. With the force of the blow, the rival is thrown, spinning endlessly and completely disoriented. He then crashes to the floor, knocked out, and the protagonist easily wins another fight. The defeated boy is carried away on a stretcher by paramedics, as it seems he hit his head. The crowd gets upset, thinking it's all just luck, and some demand their money back. However, the rival coach realizes it's not luck and that the rookie is a very strong fighter. Desperate, he calls on his best fighter and tells him to fight defensively to avoid losing. The new opponent tells the coach to relax, as he's sure he's going to win the fight. He stretches, thinking the protagonist is just agile and his experience will secure the victory. In the stands, everyone is talking about the young man's speed and that his mother is a gene fuser. Without further delay, the announcer once again gives the signal for the next match to begin. The opponent moves forward with incredible speed and tries to land a kick on the protagonist. However, the green-haired young man defends himself and calmly dodges all the blows. The coach yells furiously, asking why he's attacking when the order was to defend. Seeing his rival's punches, our hero finds the style interesting and decides to learn the technique. The opponent gets frustrated because, despite so many attacks, he can't land a single blow. The furious opponent asks how he dodges everything, and the young man taunts him to show more. Annoyed by the taunt, the rival unleashes a flurry of punches on our hero. Then, using his rival's own technique, he hits him with a powerful kick right on the chin. In the stands, the audience's jaws drop, unable to believe what they just witnessed. His team celebrates the victory with great excitement, and the coach says that winning feels amazing. With his opponent on the ground, he thinks that the next opponents will be even weaker than these. A short time later, all 5 members of the rival team were on the floor, defeated. Over the next 2 days, he continued his winning streak and defeated 2 more schools. The boy kept winning every fight by himself and with no apparent difficulty. He led his school to victory, and they celebrated by lifting the champion's trophy. The system screen shows he has defeated 16 out of 1,000 opponents, and there's still a long way to go. Happy with the result, the coach hands him the largest share of the prize money. Including his other prizes, he gathers 30,000 yuan and celebrates all the cash. With the money in hand, he heads straight to the supermarket and spends it all on ghost squid meat. At home, his mother serves the squid, and the system shows that the illustration's progress has increased. After eating all the meat, he advances to the 4th stage and is able to lift a huge boulder. Time passes, and the two friends finally graduate from middle school, taking a picture together. But his friend is sad because she didn't do well on the test, and thinks they won't go to the same high school. She cries, and the young man says the principal is visiting him at home and asks her to come along. The girl cries even more, saying the principal is only coming because of him, and she doesn't want to get in the way. To calm her down, he says he'll stay at the school on the condition that she becomes his classmate. At his house, the principal talks with them for hours to convince the young man to continue his studies. After the long conversation, the woman gets up to leave but still has something to say. She says that if he agrees to stay, he can make any request, and the school will grant it. The young man then hugs his friend, and his only condition is that she studies in the same class as him. The principal looks at the girl with a smile and asks if she is the student Shen Qingyan. With an OK sign, she tells them to enroll together when classes begin. The friends celebrate, overjoyed, and thank the principal for accepting their deal. Before the new school year, he enters another tournament and wins all the fights easily. Unsurprisingly, the young fighter leads his team to another smashing victory. With the prize money in his hands, he decides the time has finally come to fulfill his wish. He goes to a forest because the system has reached 80%, and something might happen. Without wasting time, the young man begins to devour the squid's essence, and a blue aura surrounds him. His eyes widen in amazement when the system finally announces 100% progress. The system informs him that he has unlocked the illustration and gained the water affinity ability. The young man is a bit disappointed with the new ability and thinks it's somewhat useless. To test his new powers, he swims in a lake and notices that the water offers no resistance. While relaxing in a hot spring, he thinks the squid is a weak beast, and that's why the power is weak. The boy decides he needs to get stronger so he can hunt wild beasts and absorb their power. With his face wet, he remembers the giant rats and becomes even more determined to train. With 1 week left before school starts, the families decide to take a trip to the beach together. In the water, the girl complains to her friend that the sea is too cold for her to get in. He dives right in, and the system shows that he is gaining new attributes in the water. Seeing him swim alone, his friend asks him to stop and teach her how to swim too. The young man then remembers that she really doesn't know how to swim, and decides to help her in the water. He begins to teach her patiently but thinks she won't learn since she isn't an athlete. To his surprise, the girl learns to swim and dive within moments of training. She then returns to the surface, splashing water everywhere, very excited about it all. Surprised, the young woman realizes she can dive with her eyes open without any problem. The girl emerges from the water surrounded by a blue aura, leaving her friend shocked at the sight. Happily, she comments that she feels no discomfort and that the sensation is great and relaxing. The young man watches her swim and finds it very strange that she learned everything so quickly. Suddenly it clicks, and he realizes something about his friend he hadn't noticed before. He connects the dots and wonders if the trouble she has at night has to do with this affinity. The young man gets excited and thinks she might have a special body, like in cultivation stories. The two then dive together, and her performance underwater shocks him even more. They stay down for more than 10 minutes without breathing, something incredible even for a trained person. The pink-haired girl seems surprised by something and holds her breath, startled. Suddenly, a strange sound echoes through the water, and a whirlpool forms around the young woman. Startled, the two friends wonder what that noise is and what's happening there. Suddenly, the girl screams in pain as an aura of water envelops her, frightening the young man. Back on the beach sand, he asks what happened and why she suddenly got so nervous. She explains that she started hearing a strange and scary voice that terrified her. The young woman says it was a woman's voice, and the sound only stopped when she returned to the surface. At the hotel, the young man searches on his phone but finds nothing about what his friend described. Unable to sleep, he trains, and the system notifies him that he has risen to the 5th common stage. With this new level, he can now fight on equal footing against an adult mutant rat. The young man clenches his fist, determined to keep training so he can face the giant beasts. He then goes to a deserted beach to test his new powers and runs at high speed. His vertical jump now reaches almost 7 meters, and he runs 100 meters in under 4 seconds. His strength is also greatly increased, and he can lift a 1,600 kilogram car. With his new powers, he finally begins his high school life alongside his friend. In the classroom, two girls get excited when they see he's in the same class as them. A system screen appears, and he receives a new mission that could grant him a new attribute. Taking advantage of the fact that classes have barely started, the young man decides to go to the supermarket again. At the butcher's shop, he looks for a new target since the squid illustration is already unlocked. Suddenly, the young man's eyes go wide with surprise when he sees something on the shelf. He finds the claw of a tyrant gray eagle, which costs almost 2,000 per half a kilogram. With a confident smile on his face, he decides that will be his next big goal. The narration explains that the gray tyrant eagle is a beast of a much higher level than the ghost squid. This creature's vision is 30 times better than an average human's, making it a very powerful predator. Because of this, its hunting skills are extremely powerful, and it can catch very fast prey with precision. The young man then thinks that having enhanced vision would help him a lot, and the price of the eagle meat is quite affordable. Upon touching the claw, a system notification informs him that he has absorbed 1% of the creature's essence. The young man realizes that to reach 100%, he'll need over 200,000 yuan worth of meat. To get the money, he decides he'll compete more in high school, since the prizes are much bigger. Summer vacation finally ends, and our hero begins his new journey at Shanghai School. On the very first day of school, 4 teachers introduce themselves to the class as the ones in charge. After the teachers, the students begin to introduce themselves, and a girl says her name is Chu Yu Tong. Next, a pink-haired girl introduces herself and says she really likes anime and cosplaying. Another boy stands up and says his name is Peng Hoguang and that he really enjoys playing video games. It's the protagonist's friend's turn, but she gets super nervous about having to speak in front of everyone. Stuttering a little, the girl introduces herself as Shen Qinghan and says her hobby is drawing. Finally, our hero stands up and gives the shortest introduction of all, saying only his name. As soon as the introductions are over, the bell rings, and a classmate asks the hero's friend about her score. A brown-haired girl approaches, all excited to talk to the purple-haired young woman. A bit embarrassed, the purple-haired girl reveals she scored 709 points on the test. The other girl is impressed and says her score is 10 points higher than her own. She then changes the subject and asks about her physical test score, bragging about her own. The protagonist's friend gets super nervous and confesses that her score was really bad and she's embarrassed. The classmate insists and starts guessing high numbers, thinking the girl is just being modest. The purple-haired young woman lowers her head in embarrassment and says her score is even lower. Oblivious, the other girl keeps insisting and guesses other numbers, making the hero's friend uncomfortable. Seeing the situation, the protagonist stretches his leg over the desk and interrupts their conversation. He then leans in and asks for the girl's contact info, and she gets all giddy and happy with the unexpected request. The young man's friend is relieved because he saved her from a super awkward conversation about her scores. Seizing the opportunity, another classmate comes over and also asks for our hero's contact info to be friends. A system notification informs him that he has formed a group of 4 people and completed another task. His new friend's name is He Yu, and he comes from a family of martial masters and has even won championships. The new classmate is named Li Chuxin, and her family owns several clothing stores in the city, making her quite wealthy. After getting to know each other better, the 4 of them form a small, close-knit, and lively group of friends. While they were talking, their new friend He Yu issues a challenge, asking who they think is the strongest in the class. The brown-haired girl points to the protagonist and says he's definitely the strongest of all. The martial artist friend is shocked by the revelation and asks if the guy is really that amazing. Our hero says he's not the strongest and reveals that there are 2 other much more powerful students in the class. He points to a blonde boy running and says his name is Wang Shuji, and he can run 100 meters in under 8 seconds. Next, he points to a muscular guy and says his name is Lu Gang, and he can lift 300 kilograms. The girl's jaws drop at the student's strength, but our hero remains calm since he's already surpassed those numbers. The bell rings again, and the teacher hands out 4 textbooks to each student in the class. Since he had already studied everything on his own, the young man uses the free time to train in a secluded spot. He remembers the rat god cult and decides he needs to get even stronger to be able to face them. In the afternoon survival class, the teacher takes the class to the forest and asks who knows how to make fire. The martial artist friend comments that nobody would learn such a useless skill these days. Suddenly, the blonde boy makes fire with sticks, leaving everyone speechless, and the protagonist starts to as well. The teacher is impressed and asks how they learned such a rare and difficult technique. The blonde boy says he took a course over the vacation, and the protagonist says he learned it himself online. After that, our hero teaches his friends how to make fire, and they all manage to learn the technique. In martial arts class, the teacher teaches a breathing technique, and the stronger students stand out. Even though he already knows everything, the protagonist decides to remain low, key to avoid drawing too much attention. A month goes by, and the teacher announces it's time to test the class's knowledge with an exam. He also announces that the top 3 finishers will win a cash prize to encourage everyone. The green-haired young man gets excited about the news because with the money, he can buy more eagle meat. All the students try their best on the exam to try and win the cash prize being offered. The genetic fusion teacher also gives a test with prizes to evaluate the students' knowledge. By the end of the test, everyone is exhausted, and the protagonist's friend lays his head on the desk, completely wiped out. The classmates start complaining about how hard the test was, saying the questions were very complicated. The 2 strongest students start bragging, saying that even though it was difficult, they got a good score. The protagonist's friend gets annoyed with their arrogance and feels like teaching them a lesson. Continuing their boosting, the 2 students annoy our hero's friend. Annoyed by their arrogance, the girl finally loses her patience. Pointing at Liu Gang, she calls him out for a fight in front of everyone. Laughing at the girl, the big guy asks if she really wants to get hurt. Without wasting time, the girl runs and tries to land a kick on her opponent. With a swift move, she charges toward the brute. The boy, however, easily blocks the attack with just one arm. Holding her leg, he lifts her into the air without any trouble. In a quick spin, the boy throws her forcefully towards a wall. Before she hits the wall, a mysterious hand catches her in mid-air. It was Subai, who appeared to save his friend from imminent danger. Looking at Liu Gang, our hero says that she is his friend and no one hurts her. The big guy then says that if he wants to meddle, he'll get taken down too. Subai simply says that if he hurt her, he will break his arms and legs. Seeing the tension, the teacher arrives and says that fights are forbidden at school. He also explains that disputes should be settled in the martial arts club. The teacher then asks if they are martial arts students. Our hero confirms, saying their club accepts the challenge from class 1. With a confident smile, he says he will take them all down by himself. The other students are shocked by our protagonist's confidence. The teacher likes his attitude and says he is the school's hope. Smiling, the teacher says that Subai is the pride of the school and a great example. At home, our hero researches the cult of the rat god on his computer. He discovers that the cult originated in Shanghai and is very dangerous. Surprised, he realizes that the cult of the rat god is a real threat. He thinks it would be great if he could absorb the creature's essence. Across town, we see a giant and frightening creature. Amidst the destruction, the beast seems to be looking for something or someone. Flying through the skies, we see a warrior heading towards the school gym. There, the boy prepares for another martial arts tournament. At school, the teacher announces that survival classes will be next week. He explains it will be a 3-day training on a deserted island. A system notification pops up with a new mission for our hero. The objective is to take down the level 1 mutant beast and collect its core. At the gym, the students prepare for the martial arts challenge. The teacher says that class 1 is strong and they need to be careful. Liu Gang boasts that he is stronger and will finish everyone off. He then challenges Subai to a direct confrontation in front of everyone. Our hero accepts the challenge and says he will show him true strength. Subai's friend gets worried and asks him to be careful with the big guy. With a serious look, the protagonist tells Liu Gang not to underestimate him. The rival says he's just a newbie and will be easily defeated. His friend also taunts him, saying he has no chance against the brute. She then attacks first, but his friend Hugh intercepts her midway. He says she will handle her, and that Subai should focus on his main opponent. Seeing that his friend is in good hands, he prepares for the fight. With a quick move, the girl tries to land a punch on Hugh. Hugh, however, dodges and counters with a powerful kick. The girl is thrown back but manages to recover quickly from the blow. The teacher then says that the fight between them is not official and separates them. Meanwhile, in the ring, the two face each other, waiting for the signal to start. The referee then gives the signal, and the fight between Subai and Liu Gang finally begins. Liu Gang's friend yells that he will be crushed by the big guy's power. Our hero just smiles and says he talks too much for someone who's about to lose. With a swift punch, Subai hits Liu Gang square on the chin. The blow is so strong that the big guy is thrown back with no reaction. Everyone is shocked by our protagonist's strength in the fight. The teacher is impressed and says the newbie is a true genius. Subai's friends celebrate the victory with great excitement in the stands. Liu Gang gets up furiously and says that it was just a lucky shot. Next, the teacher says that the next fighter from Class 1 can enter. A boy with spiky hair enters the ring, confident of his victory. He says he won't underestimate Subai and will fight with everything he's got. With a powerful kick, the new opponent tries to hit our hero. Subai dodges the attack and counters with a punch to the stomach. The boy spits and falls to his knees, completely defeated by the blow. The teacher is stunned and can't believe he won again with a single hit. Subai's friends shout his name and celebrate another easy victory. The next opponent enters the ring and faces our hero seriously. Without wasting time, he advances with a series of rapid punches. Our hero dodges all the blows with impressive calmness. Grabbing the rival's arm, he throws him to the ground with a quick move. The boy passes out, and Subai wins another fight without any difficulty. The other students get scared and no longer want to fight the newbie. Seeing the situation, the teacher declares Subai's team the winner. Everyone celebrates the victory, and the teacher congratulates our hero. He says that Subai is a genius and has a bright future ahead of him. With the victory, he wins the prize money and is very happy. The teacher says they now need to prepare for the next challenge. In the classroom, the white-haired teacher gets everyone's attention. He explains that the survival training will be very dangerous. Therefore, he recommends that the students form teams to protect themselves. Subai's friend gets excited and says they are already a strong team. The chubby teacher then says that his team will also be the best of all. The two teachers start arguing about which class is better. Tired of the argument, Subai stands up and says he will prove who is the best. He then challenges the other class to a competition during the training. The chubby teacher accepts the challenge and says his class will win. The other teacher agrees and says the bet is on between the classes. The students get excited about the competition and start preparing. Later, the chubby teacher says one of his students needs help. The boy is strong but has confidence issues and needs a push. Subai agrees to help and says he will turn the boy into a warrior. In the courtyard, he finds the boy and challenges him to a practice fight. With a powerful punch, Subai takes the boy down with a single, clean hit. The boy gets up and says he doesn't want to fight anymore because he's weak. Our hero says he just needs to believe in himself and train more. With a flying kick, the boy tries to attack Subai by surprise. The protagonist dodges and takes him down again with a blow to the legs. After much persistence, the boy finally agrees to train with him. Days later, the boy is more confident and thanks Subai for his help. The teacher is happy with the result and says he did a great job. He then hands him an envelope with money as a reward for the favor. Subai is happy with the money and says he will use it to get stronger. The next day, the teacher explains the rules of the survival training. He says that each team will have a device to call for help in an emergency. The goal is to survive for 3 days on the island and collect resources. The chubby teacher also gives instructions to his class of students. He tells them to be careful of the beasts and other dangers on the island. With everything ready, the students board a ship heading to the deserted island. During the trip, Subai takes the opportunity to relax and enjoy the view. His friends join him and talk about what they expect from the training. Subai's friend says she's a little scared about the idea of being on the island. He reassures her, saying he will protect her from any danger that appears. Finally, they arrive at the island, and the ship anchors near the beach. The teachers wish them good luck and tell them to be very careful. The teams get off the ship and begin to explore the mysterious island. Subai's friend comments that the place is beautiful but also very scary. Our hero tells them not to worry because he is there to protect them. They then start looking for a safe place to set up camp. Walking through the forest, Subai's friend says she is not a coward. She moves away from the group, saying she will prove she is brave. Our hero watches her from a distance and notices something strange in her aura. Suddenly, she stops and looks at the sky as if she's sensing something. She then says she has a superpower and can sense things. Subai approaches and asks what kind of superpower she has. She explains that she can feel the presence of other people and beasts nearby. With a smile, he says that's amazing and will be useful on the island. She then points in one direction and says she feels something coming from there. The group follows her direction and prepares for what they will find. They find a group of bandits who were hiding in the forest. The bandits surround the students and say they shouldn't be there. The group's leader threatens the kids and says they will regret it. Subai and his friends prepare to fight against the criminals. The bandits laugh and say they are just kids and don't stand a chance. At the hospital, a man with pink hair visits his injured brother. The brother says he was attacked by a student and needs revenge. The woman says the hospital is expensive and they need money. The man with pink hair says he will take care of everything and they'll be fine. He then leaves the hospital and seems to be planning something big. Back at the hospital, the doctor talks with the pink-haired man. He explains that his brother needs a special and expensive treatment. The doctor says the only chance is to get a rare beast core. The pink-haired man says he will get the core, no matter the cost. He then goes to a shop and asks about the price of the item he needs. The seller says the core is rare and costs a very large fortune. Desperate, the pink-haired man decides he is going to steal the core. He then comes up with a plan to invade the training island. His goal is to take down a rare beast and get its core to save his brother. He gathers his men and prepares for the invasion of the student's island. Inside an office, a man observes everything with a worried look. Suddenly, a red aura explodes and attacks the police officers present. Surrounded by the evil energy, the officers try to fight for their lives. The leader shouts that the target is the rat god, and they need to stop it now. Seeing his men in danger, a police officer shoots to try to save them. In a car, a man with glasses watches the scene with a desperate look. Seeing the chase, he yells at the driver to speed up as much as possible. Right behind them, a giant monster with a huge mouth pursues them. In the sky, a cyborg advances at high speed to intercept the creature. As the cyborg approaches, the monster opens its mouth to attack the car. Arriving just in time, the warrior prepares to attack the giant beast. Falling from the sky, she lands on top of a building for a better view. The monster then turns and roars furiously at the new opponent. The cyborg charges her weapon with purple energy and prepares to fire. Aiming at the monster, she fires several energy projectiles at once. Hit dead on, the creature screams in pain as it bursts into flames. With a cold look, the warrior says that justice will always prevail. Far away in a big city, our hero wakes up startled in his bed. Looking at the city, he thinks he needs to get stronger to survive. He then remembers a tragic event that happened in his past. Running desperately, he finds his brother fallen and seriously injured. Crying, he apologizes for not being strong enough to protect him. He then promises he will get stronger so this never happens again. With a determined look, our hero prepares to make a decision. He then jumps out of the window and starts flying through the city skies. While flying, he spots a giant creature and decides he will face it alone. The beast notices his presence and turns to attack the young hero. Without fear, he advances towards the creature to begin the combat. The creature attacks with its sharp claws, but our hero dodges. Seeing an opening, he counterattacks with a powerful punch on the monster. The monster roars in pain but recovers and attacks again with more force. Our hero then uses his powers and creates an energy blade in his hand. With a quick slash, he cuts through the creature's body with his blade. The creature then explodes into pieces, and our hero emerges victorious from the fight. Looking at the creature's remains, he wonders if it's already gone. Touching the remains, he begins to absorb the beast's life energy. The system then notifies him that he has acquired a new flight ability. With a smile, he realizes he has become even stronger after the battle. Elsewhere, the cyborg we saw before prepares for a ritual. Lying in a circle of candles, she seems to be summoning something. With her eyes closed, she concentrates to perform the dark ritual. A red aura surrounds her, and an evil entity appears before her. The entity asks why she summoned it and what she desires from it. With her head down, the woman says she wants power to get revenge on her enemies. The rat god says she needs to offer something in exchange for so much power. He then approaches and says the price will be her own soul. The woman agrees, and the rat god begins to transfer his power to her. With energy tentacles, he envelops her and transforms her into his servant. Back in the present, Subai helps his friend with a relaxing massage. She thanks him and says he has magic hands for relieving tension. He smiles and says he's happy to help his friends relax. With a tap, he tells her to turn over to continue the back massage. She obeys, and he continues the massage with a focused look. He then says she needs to train more to strengthen her muscles. She agrees and says she will try harder in the next training sessions. After the massage, she feels refreshed and thanks him again. He then picks up his phone and sees a news story about a new genius. The news talks about a girl who became a genetic fusion user. Reading the article, he discovers the girl has a rare and powerful ability. He then thinks that he needs to train more so he doesn't fall behind. He also wonders if genetic fusion is the only path to power. In his room, he sees a giant spider and wonders about its abilities. He thinks that if he could absorb its essence, he would become much stronger. At his house, he continues researching genetic fusion on the internet. He finds a forum where people discuss the different types. Someone comments that fusion with insects is the most powerful of all. Interested, he continues reading to learn more about the subject. In another post, he sees that fusion with the tyrant spider is extremely rare. The next day in martial arts class, the teacher explains a technique. He says the key is speed and precision in movements. Subai then spars with another student to practice the new technique taught. With a swift move, he easily takes down his opponent. The teacher is impressed and praises him for his natural ability. He says Subai learned the technique faster than any other student. After class, his friends congratulate him on his incredible performance. He thanks them and says he still has much to learn about martial arts. His friend then says they need to prepare for the next competition. Before that, they agree to train together to get stronger. During training, they focus on improving their speed and physical endurance. Subai's friend says that with him on the team, they will surely win. In another class, a teacher offers money to a strong student. He says that if the student wins the competition, he will receive a large reward. The student accepts the offer and promises to bring victory to the class. The teacher then hands an envelope with money to the boy. With a smile, he says he is looking forward to seeing the result of the fight. The next day at school, Subai and his friend are talking in the hallway. She asks if he is nervous about the upcoming competition. He says no and that he is confident in their team's victory. In the school cafeteria, they find a famous chef preparing the food. Everyone gets excited and rushes to try the special chef's dishes. Sitting at the table, Subai and his friends enjoy the delicious meal. Suddenly, the student who received money approaches their table. He says he wants their spot, and that they need to leave immediately. Subai's friend says they got there first and are not leaving. The bully then threatens to rough them up if they don't obey his order. Without patience, the bully tries to push Subai's friends from the table. Our hero stands up and faces the bully with a serious look. He tells the boy to leave them alone or he will greatly regret it. The bully laughs and says he's not afraid of him and calls him out for a fight. Subai then takes him down with a quick move without anyone noticing. The bully is shocked and asks how he managed to do that. Our hero says he should never mess with his friends again. With his phone in hand, he threatens to report the bully to the school. The boy gets scared and begs him not to do it. Subai says he will only forgive him if he apologizes to his friends. Far away in a dark place, the cult of the rat god gathers again. The leader says that one of his members failed the mission and lost their life. He then says they need to be more careful not to be discovered. Another member says the training on the island is the perfect chance to act. The leader agrees and says they will use the students as bait. He explains that while the heroes are busy, they will attack. The plan is to create chaos in the city and steal the resources they need. One of the members says that the students from Shanghai School are strong. The leader tells them not to worry because he has a foolproof plan. He then reveals that he will use one of his agents infiltrated in the school. Back at school, Subai is in the principal's office for a meeting. The principal congratulates him on his results and offers him a scholarship. Our hero accepts the scholarship and thanks him for the opportunity. The principal then says he will be the school's representative in the competition. With the paperwork in hand, he prepares for another great challenge. Last week, Class 1 challenged Class 7 to a combat match. The teacher says that Class 7's representative will be Hugh. With a leap, she enters the ring and prepares for the fight. With a powerful kick, she attacks her opponent with great speed. The opponent dodges and counters with a punch to He's face. He dodges and lands a kick on her rival's leg. The girl falls to the ground, and he wins the first fight for her class. The crowd goes wild with the girl's impressive victory. The other fighter gets up and says she won't give up so easily. In less than 10 minutes, he defeats 10 other opponents by herself. The other class's teacher is impressed with the girl's strength. The Class 7 team celebrates their representative's overwhelming victory. The teacher then says that 5 boys and 5 girls are still left. He then calls Hugh and says she's done enough for today. With the victory secured, she leaves the ring and is congratulated by her friends. The teacher then calls the next fighter from Class 7 to the ring. A boy enters the ring and faces his opponent with confidence. The rival says he doesn't stand a chance and will be defeated quickly. The boy from Class 7 smiles and says he talks too much. With a quick punch, he attacks his opponent with all his might. The rival dodges and counters with a kick to his stomach. The boy from Class 7 blocks the kick and takes him down with a blow. With another victory, Class 7 continues to dominate the competition. The other class's teacher is furious with his student's defeat. He then calls his best fighter and tells him to end this. The last fighter enters the ring and faces the boy from Class 7. He says their luck has run out and now the fight is serious. The boy from Class 7 says he is ready for the final challenge. With a determined look, he prepares for the toughest fight. The crowd falls silent, waiting for the start of the final showdown. With a powerful kick, the fighter from Class 7 attacks his opponent. The rival says he's trash and should just admit defeat. With another kick, he throws him to the ground and continues to taunt him. The boy from Class 7 says that even in defeat, he will not give up. Suddenly, Subai appears and says it's now his turn to fight. The rival asks who he is and why he's meddling in the fight. Without a word, Subai advances and lands a kick to his face. The rival doesn't understand how he was hit so fast and is shocked. The rival's friends get furious and say they will finish him. They then surround Subai and prepare to attack all at once. With a spinning kick, our hero knocks one of the bullies to the ground. With a punch, he hits another one on the chin and knocks him out instantly. Next, he grabs one of their heads and slams it hard onto the ground. The teacher and the other students are shocked by the newbie's strength. The leader of the bullies gets up and says he won't lose to a newbie. He then prepares to use his strongest technique against Subai. The other students comment that Lin Fan's power is impressive. Half an hour later, all 28 students from the other class are on the ground. Subai then says that now they know who the real trash is here. The system notifies him that he has defeated 28 opponents. With the mission accomplished, he thinks he can now focus on getting stronger. On Monday, he is called to the principal's office at the school. The principal says he can skip classes to train for the tournament. She explains that the tournament is important and he needs to be prepared. With a smile, he thanks the principal for the opportunity and leaves the room. Later, he goes to the gym and finds the principal training. She asks why he is there so late at night. He says he came to train and doesn't want to waste time. The principal smiles and says she admires his determination and focus. She then asks if he wants to test his strength in a challenge. With a curious look, he asks what challenge she is proposing. She points to a barbell with weights and tells him to lift it. With ease, he lifts the bar, which has 200 kilograms of weight. The principal increases the weight to 700 kilograms and challenges him again. He accepts the challenge and prepares to lift the enormous weight. With a shout of effort, he lifts the bar and impresses the principal. She then invites him to participate in a special strength competition. He accepts, and she says she will take care of all the details for him. She also says that if he wins, he will get an incredible prize. Excited, he asks what the prize is, and she smiles mysteriously. She then says he will find out when the time is right. The principal then leaves the gym, leaving him curious about the prize. In the hallway, she meets the teacher and says that Subai is a genius. She then prepares to announce the competition to the entire school. The next day, the whole school is gathered for the big announcement. The principal announces the strength competition and invites everyone to participate. She explains that the winner will get a cash prize and recognition. The students get excited and start signing up for the competition. Subai also signs up and is eager to test his limits. Leaving the school, he sees a girl being harassed on the street. A blonde man is bothering her, and she looks very uncomfortable. The man offers her a drink, but she politely refuses. He insists, saying she shouldn't refuse a gift from a stranger. Suddenly, the man realizes he is being watched and turns around. He glares at Subai with an annoyed look and asks what he's looking at. Without saying anything, our hero continues to stare at him with a serious look. The blonde man then transforms into a frightening creature. He says Subai will regret meddling where he wasn't invited. With sharp claws, he lunges to attack our protagonist. The monster attacks with a powerful punch, but Subai easily dodges it. With a quick kick, he hits the monster and throws it back. The monster gets up furiously and says it won't be defeated by a human. He then uses his powers and creates an energy barrier to protect himself. Subai then focuses his energy and prepares for a stronger attack. With one punch, he breaks the barrier and hits the monster square on. The monster spits blood and falls to the ground, completely defeated. The system notifies him that he has absorbed the essence of a mutant rat. He then realizes the creature was one of the members of the cult of the rat god. Looking at the defeated creature, he wonders if it's gone. Suddenly, the creature gets up and tries to attack Subai from behind. With a quick move, he turns and finishes the monster once and for all. At home, he thinks about the cult and realizes they are a huge threat. He decides he needs to get even stronger to protect everyone. With the rat's essence, he feels his power increase even more. He then prepares to train and master his new abilities. In a dark place, a giant creature awakens from its slumber. The creature seems to be the leader of the cult of the rat god, and is very powerful. He senses the passing of one of his servants and becomes furious. He then vows revenge and says he will destroy whoever took down his servant. On a tall building, two men talk about the recent events. One of them says the cult is getting bolder and more dangerous. The other says they need to act fast to stop them once and for all. They then decide to send one of their best agents to investigate. The agent is a man with a pet cat and seems to be very strong. They instruct him to uncover the cult's plans and put an end to them. In a dark cave, the cult leader talks with one of his female servants. The servant says they need more power to carry out their plans. The leader says he already has a plan and will use a new secret weapon. He then reveals a giant creature and says it will destroy the city. The creature is a green monster with red eyes and seems to be invincible. The servant is impressed and says that with this creature, they will win. The leader smiles and says the era of humans is coming to an end. The green creature then attacks a smaller monster to show its power. With a single blow, the green creature destroys the other monster easily. The cult leader is pleased and says that victory is near. The smaller monster begs for its life but is ignored by its master. With a cold look, the leader says the weak don't deserve to live. He then orders the green creature to continue destroying everything. On the street, Subai and his friends walk peacefully after class. Suddenly, he gets a call from the agent investigating the cult. On his phone, he sees the profile pictures of all the girls in his class. Looking at the screen, he realizes that many girls are interested in him. A classmate approaches and says he is very popular among the girls. In the schoolyard, a crowd of students gathers for a special event. Subai stands in the center of the yard and seems to be waiting for something. His friend Hugh appears and prepares for a challenge against him. The audience is excited to see the fight between the two friends. Their friends cheer for both of them and hope for an exciting fight. He then lunges forward and tries to land a kick on Subai with speed. He dodges and the audience is shocked by his agility and reflexes. The crowd shouts Subai's name and supports him in the fight. He smiles and says he is stronger than she imagined. She then prepares to use her most powerful technique against him. With a determined look, she moves forward again to attack our hero. Their friends get worried and hope no one gets hurt. With a quick blow, he tries to hit Subai, but he blocks the attack. He then pushes her back and says she needs to train more. The system notifies him that he gained experience points from the fight. He then gives up the fight and says he is the winner of the challenge. The audience applauds and celebrates our protagonist's victory. Another girl then approaches and challenges Subai to a fight. He accepts the challenge and prepares for another confrontation. The girl says she won't go easy on him and that he should fight with everything. His friends say he doesn't have to fight if he doesn't want to. He smiles and says it's no problem and he will accept the challenge. The bully he defeated before appears and glares at him angrily. He then shouts and says he wants a rematch against our hero. Subai ignores the bully and prepares to fight the girl. He then asks for the next challenger to enter the ring. A strong boy approaches and says he will be the next opponent. With a powerful kick, he attacks Subai with all his strength. Our hero dodges and takes him down with a blow to the neck. The boy passes out and Subai wins another fight easily. The teacher then approaches and says the competition is over. He congratulates Subai on his incredible winning streak. The bully then approaches and says he's a coward for not fighting him. Subai ignores him and says he doesn't waste his time on weak people. The teacher then says he can challenge Subai in the next tournament. The bully agrees and says he will train to defeat him. Subai then leaves the courtyard, followed by his friends. Later, he finds the bully training in the school gym. The bully sees him and says that next time, he won't lose. Subai smiles and says he is looking forward to their next fight. He then approaches and gives the bully some tips to improve. The bully is surprised but thanks his rival for the help. With a serious look, the bully prepares to fight against the teacher. He says he regrets it and shouldn't have challenged Subai. The teacher smiles and says he learned a valuable lesson today. With a quick move, he attacks the teacher to test his strength. The teacher blocks the attack and praises him for his progress. With a kick in the air, an upperclassman challenges our hero. The entire crowd shouts and tells him not to go easy in the fight. Ignoring everyone, he faces the boy in the middle of the ring. The upperclassman asks who he is and why he wants to fight. Smiling, Subai says he heard him talking and wants a ticket. The crowd tells the upperclassman to just give the newbie a ticket. The upperclassman then invites him to come up and fight for the ticket. Subai gets in the ring and faces his opponent with confidence. He then says he doesn't just want a ticket, but an iPhone. The system then notifies him about a new secret mission. To complete it, he needs to defeat 1,000 opponents at school. With a smile, he says the mission seems very interesting. Excited, he says he doesn't just want to fight one, but all of them. He then challenges all the students in the school to a fight. The crowd goes wild at our protagonist's audacity. Sitting in her office, the principal watches everything on the cameras. She is impressed by the newbie's courage and strength. A teacher says he is arrogant, but she disagrees with him. She then says that he has the strength to back up his words. The principal says she will watch him to see his true power. Later she laughs and says she knew he was special. She then gets up from her chair and seems to have a plan. With a determined look, she decides she will talk to him. In her office, she tells him to go easy on the other students. He then raises his hand and asks if he can skip classes. The principal agrees but says he needs to represent the school. He then says he has one condition for accepting the proposal. He points to Xiaochen and says she needs help too. The principal looks at the girl and asks what her problem is. He explains that she has a hidden potential and needs help. Shocked, he can't believe the principal agreed so easily. With a smile, she says she will help the girl without any problem. He then says he will take care of everything, and she can trust him. The principal then thinks he wants to take advantage of the situation. Subai then says he has a way to solve her problem. He then approaches the principal and whispers something in her ear. The principal is surprised and asks if he is sure about this. He confirms and says it will work with the help of an item. He then explains that he will use acupuncture needles on the girl. The principal is shocked and asks if he knows what he's doing. He reassures her and says he has studied the technique for a long time. She then agrees and says she will trust his plan. Later, Xiaochen receives an invitation for a swimming class. Excited, she runs to tell her parents the news. Her parents are happy, but her mother seems a little worried. The next day, Subai says he signed her up for a swimming competition. He explains that it's a couples competition and they will compete. She gets embarrassed but agrees to participate with him. He then says he will teach her how to swim so they can win. She smiles and says she is looking forward to starting the training. Later, her mother advises her to be careful with boys. She says she knows Subai is a good boy but she still worries. The girl tells her mother not to worry and that they are friends. In her room, she thinks about the competition and feels excited. She then gets ready for the first day of training at the pool. At the pool, she finds Subai, and he seems to be waiting for her. He says she is late and they need to start right away. She apologizes and says she was getting ready for the class. He then tells her to get in the water so they can begin. She gets into the pool, and the swimming lesson finally starts. In her room, Xiaochen is unsure about which swimsuit to wear. She tries on several styles but can't make up her mind. Finally, she chooses a black swimsuit and feels more confident. At the pool, she finds the principal and other girls training. She is a bit intimidated but tries not to show her nervousness. At the pool, she finds Subai, and he seems to be waiting for her. He asks why she took so long to get there. She says she was choosing her swimsuit and apologizes for the delay. He then compliments her and says she looks very pretty in the swimsuit. She gets embarrassed by the compliment and thanks him. They then get into the pool and begin their swimming training. Underwater, he holds her and teaches her the breathing technique. She seems to be struggling, and he helps her come up. Out of the water, he asks if she's okay and she nods. He then says they should try again more calmly. Underwater, she starts to struggle and panics. Subai holds her and quickly brings her to the surface. Out of the water, he asks what happened, and she says she doesn't know. He notices that the water around her is behaving strangely. He then looks at her and sees a blue aura surrounding her. With a curious look, he says the water is moving right towards her. He then holds her and examines her more closely to understand. He asks if she feels anything different when she's in the water. She says she feels a strange connection but can't explain it. He then says she might have a body with an affinity for water. He then asks her to relax and let the energy flow. He holds her and begins to guide the energy through her body. He then says he will help her control this power. She agrees, and they continue their training in the pool. He then says she has great potential to be unlocked. On the massage table, he asks her to lie down to begin the treatment. She gets nervous and asks what he is going to do to her. He says he will use acupuncture to release her hidden power. With the needles in hand, he carefully begins the treatment. He then says she will feel a little pain at the beginning. She agrees and prepares for the procedure with the boy. He then starts applying the needles at strategic points. Her energy begins to flow, and she feels an immense power. He then says the treatment was a success and she is fine. She thanks him and says she feels much stronger now. He then challenges her to see who gets to the other side first. She accepts the challenge, and they start swimming with speed. To his surprise, she overtakes him and wins the race. He is shocked and can't believe she learned so quickly. She celebrates the victory and says she is now a real swimmer. After practice, they go to a restaurant to celebrate. On the way, he compliments her and says she has a natural talent. At the restaurant, he asks the waitress for the beast meat menu. The waitress hands him the menu, and he starts choosing the dishes. He then orders several expensive dishes, leaving the waitress surprised. With his phone in hand, he pays the bill and waits for the food to arrive. The waitress brings the dishes, and he starts devouring the meat. He then says he needs more energy to get stronger. The system notifies him that he is absorbing the essence of the beasts. With the energy, he feels his power increasing more and more. In the middle of the ocean, he prepares to unlock a new power. He then concentrates and releases a large amount of energy. The system notifies him that he has unlocked the Tyrant Eagle's vision. With the new ability, he can see everything much more clearly. He then tests his new power and is amazed by the result. With Eagle Vision, he can see the entire city from above. He then focuses on a building and can see the people inside. The system shows that his vision has improved 30 times over. At home, he receives a delivery with more beast meat. He then prepares to continue his intensive training. In a meeting, scientists discuss genetic fusion. They say that fusion with rare beasts can create superhumans. One of them warns about the dangers and instability of the process. In a house, a mother takes care of her son who is sick. She seems worried and prays for him to get better soon. The doctor arrives and says the boy's condition is stable. He explains that the boy needs a special and expensive treatment. The mother says she will do anything to save her son's life. The doctor then says there is one hope, but it's very risky. He talks about a rare beast core that could heal him. The next day at a dinner, they celebrate Xiao Chun's improvement. She says she is excited for the school festival the next day. Her friends say they will cheer for her at the performance. At the festival, Xiao Chun's name is announced on the main stage. The crowd goes wild and shouts her name with enthusiasm. In the classroom, Subai finds Chen getting ready for the show. He compliments her and says she looks beautiful in the black dress. She gets embarrassed and says she is very nervous about the performance. Their classmates watch them with envy and curiosity. He then says he will help her calm down and relax a bit. With a makeup kit in his hand, he says he will do her makeup. She is surprised and asks if he really knows how to do makeup. He smiles and says he learned a few things on the internet. With a brush, he starts applying the makeup to her face. He then tells her to close her eyes and trust his work. Finishing the makeup, he admires his final work on her face. Looking in the mirror, she is shocked by the transformation he made. With a smile, he says she is ready for the big show. Turning to him, she thanks him with a shy and embarrassed look. Impressed by her beauty, he is speechless for a moment. Arriving at the festival, he says she can win the competition. Wearing a white dress, she says she feels more confident now. He then wishes her good luck and watches her from a distance in the audience. On the festival stage, the girls begin to perform for the audience. Suddenly, a monster invades the stage and attacks one of the girls. In the audience, a man is shocked by the monster's appearance. Changing scenes, we see a completely empty classroom. Subai then receives a mysterious notification on his phone. The system informs him of an emergency mission at the school. With a determined look, he accepts the mission without hesitation. In the classroom, the teacher congratulates everyone on their graduation. He jokes and says that now they are finally free from school. Their friend says they need to celebrate this great achievement. Everyone agrees and decides to take a picture to capture the moment. They then gather and take a happy graduation photo. Celebrating the victory, they say they are the best class in the school. Later, Subai receives the prize money from the tournament. He is happy and says he will use the money to get stronger. With the money in hand, he buys a box with more beast meat. Opening the box, he prepares to absorb the energy from the meat. With the energy from the meat, he unlocks a new powerful ability. The system notifies him that he has awakened the demon beast form. He then wonders what the next step will be to get stronger. Walking down the street, he finds a girl being intimidated by a bully. Without a second thought, he approaches to help the girl in distress. The bully glares at him and tells him not to meddle where he's not wanted. Subai ignores him and tells the girl to stay behind him for protection. The bully lunges to attack but is taken down with a single blow. Walking down the street, he encounters a group of cyborg soldiers. The group's leader recognizes him and greets him with respect. Looking at the man's leg, he notices it's a prosthetic. The man explains he lost his leg in a battle against a beast. He then says he admires our hero's strength and courage. A female cyborg approaches and invites him on a mission. She explains they need his help to hunt a rare beast. He accepts the mission and joins the group of elite soldiers. The group's leader thanks him and says they leave immediately. On the way, they encounter a group of bandits blocking the path. The bandit leader says they won't pass without paying a toll. Subai and the soldiers prepare to fight against the criminals. The soldiers' leader tells Subai not to worry about the weaklings. With a confident smile, he says he will take care of everything himself. At the dinner table, his friends congratulate him on his graduation. He thanks them and says he is happy to have friends like them. He then says they need to celebrate with a big party. He agrees and says the party will be on him as a gift. Later, he receives a call from an unknown number. On the call, a mysterious voice invites him to a secret meeting. He accepts, and the voice tells him to go to an abandoned location. At the location, he meets the agent who was investigating the cult. The agent congratulates him on his achievements and offers him a job. He says the government needs people like him to protect the country. Subai is surprised but says he needs some time to think. The agent agrees and tells him to think carefully about the proposal. With a serious look, he realizes the world is more dangerous than it seems. In his office, the school principal analyzes the students' data. He notices that Subai's power level has increased absurdly. With the data in hand, he decides he needs to talk to the boy. He then calls him to his office for a private conversation. He congratulates him and says he has unlimited potential. In the principal's office, a woman with rabbit ears is waiting for him. She introduces herself as the new headmistress of the Hero Academy. She says she has observed his potential and invites him to the academy. He is surprised and asks why she chose him for this. She explains that the academy trains the most promising young people in the country. With a smile, she says he has what it takes to be a hero. She then hands him an official invitation to the Hero Academy. He accepts the invitation and thanks the headmistress for the opportunity. The headmistress smiles and says she looks forward to seeing him at the academy. He then leaves the office and prepares for a new journey in his life. At the Hero Academy, the headmistress welcomes him with a smile. She thanks him for accepting the invitation and introduces him to the others. He then realizes that the academy is a place full of strong people. The headmistress says the training will be tough, but he will succeed. He then prepares to begin his training at the Hero Academy. Outside, the headmistress watches the sky with a thoughtful look. She thinks that the world needs more heroes to fight evil. At the academy, the students train hard to become stronger. We see a boy running at high speed on the training track. Another student lifts an enormous weight, showing his incredible strength. A week later, the students prepare for the entrance exam. In the forest, the students gather for the start of the practical exam. An instructor explains that they need to survive for 3 days. At the entrance to the exam, Subai and Xiaochen meet and talk. She says she is very nervous about the exam and afraid of failing. He reassures her and says he will protect her during the exam. Holding her hand, he pulls her close and calms her down a bit. She gets embarrassed by the gesture but feels safer with him. The instructor then warns them to get ready for the start of the exam. He also says that the top 3 finishers will receive a prize. The teacher scolds them and tells them not to talk anymore. He turns to her and asks if she is feeling okay. With a red face, she confesses that she needs to use the restroom. Shocked by the confession, he pulls her and takes her to a safe place. He takes her to the academy so she can use the restroom. Another student sees them and comments that they are very close. She thanks him and says she feels much better now. He then says they need to get back to the exam quickly. She agrees, and they run back to the exam area. The teacher glares at them and asks where they have been all this time. In the exam, a student brags about his score and taunts the others. Xiaochen faces him and says he shouldn't underestimate anyone. He laughs and says she is weak and has no chance of passing. Subai then steps in and says he will prove him wrong. The teacher then announces the results, and Xiaochen scores 82 points. The student is shocked and can't believe she got such a high score. Subai smiles and says she is stronger than he thought. Their friends celebrate and congratulate Xiaochen on her result. They then prepare for the next phase of the entrance exam. He then tells her not to worry because he will protect her. She smiles and says she will stay close to him to feel safe. In a dark place, a mysterious man watches everything from afar. He seems to be interested in Subai and his hidden powers. He then picks up a box and opens it, revealing several buttons. He says he can lend his power to those who truly deserve it. The mysterious man says that true human nature is selfishness. He then says he will test the students to see who is worthy. In the forest, the instructor explains the rules of the next phase of the exam. He says that students need to collect badges from their opponents. The students then prepare for battle and the hunt for badges. Xiao Chun says she is scared and doesn't want to fight anyone. The instructor says the exam is individual and they cannot help each other. The beasts of the forest begin to attack the students by surprise. The instructor says they need to fight together to survive. He then says the real test is the ability to work as a team. A girl approaches Subai and invites him to form a team. He refuses the offer and says he prefers to fight alone for now. The girl is disappointed but respects our hero's decision. He then says he will protect his friends even if it's against the rules. With a determined look, he prepares to face the beasts. A bully approaches and says he will steal all the badges. He then attacks a weaker student to take their badge. Subai intervenes and tells the bully to stop intimidating others. The bully glares at him and tells him not to meddle in his business. He then says that if Subai wants to protect the weak, he'll have to fight. In the middle of the forest, Subai and Xiao Chen find a clearing. They decide to rest a little before continuing the exam. Suddenly, a bright light illuminates the sky and catches their attention. With a watchful eye, Subai realizes something is wrong here. He then stands up and prepares for what's to come. With his eyes glowing, he uses his eagle vision to investigate. He then sees several beasts approaching their location. With a serious look, he tells Xiao Chun to stay behind him. He then creates several energy blades and prepares for the fight. He says he will protect Xiao Chun from danger at all costs.